While a makeshift memorial is growing outside, new details are emerging about the deadly shooting rampage inside Kirkwood City Hall. Police say Charles Lee Cookie Thornton stormed into a city council meeting Thursday night and opened fire.
The meeting had just started, and everyone had just did the Pledge of Allegiance. And we were sitting down, and I heard a shout from the back of the room, and I recognized it as Cookie Charles Thornton's voice. And I had heard him yell something about a gun.
2 police officers, the city public works director, and 2 council members were killed. The city's mayor and a newspaper reporter were wounded before officers shot and killed Thornton.
The thing that I feel most bad is the people that didn't make it, and there was no reason for that. I mean, just seeing him shoot someone without regard, it's just that shouldn't happen in this world.
Friends and relatives said Thornton had a long-standing feud with city officials. Just 10 days ago, he lost a federal free speech lawsuit against the St. Louis suburb. And he'd previously received 150 tickets against his demolition and asphalt business. Gerald Thornton says the legal setback may have been his brother's final straw.
It led him to believe that he only had the actions of declaring war against the persons that were causing this strife in his life.
Thornton left a note on his bed which read, "The truth will come out in the end." His family believes the note reflects the brother's growing frustration with local leaders. But Arthur Thornton said his older brother wasn't a violent man.
He's not a mean man. He's a loving man. And this was a violent act. It's not Cookie.
And Arthur Thornton offered condolences on behalf of his family.
Then I am truly, truly sorry. It's a very sad event.
Missouri's governor has ordered all flags at state facilities in St. Louis County to be flown at half-staff to honor the victims. Sandy Kozel, The Associated Press.
All right, peace and blessings, all praises due to the Most High. Ecclesiastes 7:7 says, surely oppression makes a wise man mad. And that is what I think about when I hear of the story of 52-year-old Charles Lee Cookie Thornton, who was the perpetrator of that shooting in Kirkwood, Missouri, which is a suburb of St. Louis, 2008, where he shot 2 city council members, 2 police officers, public works director, news reporter, and the mayor before being killed in a shootout with police. Now, they're going to tell you that the Cookie was a madman and he just snapped, but there's a deeper history, a deeper culmination of events that led up to this situation. Now I'm going to play you 2 more videos, but first let me give you a little backstory and an explanation on why Cookie felt like, as his brother said, he had to go to war against the city government. Now, they were born, Cookie and his family were born in a place called Meacham Park. And Meacham Park is a little, I guess, town or suburb of the major city of St. Louis and Kirkwood before Kirkwood annexed them. Now, it was a pretty low income area, a lot of black people. But in the early 90s, Kirkwood said, we're going to annex you guys into the city. Now, first, a lot of the residents were opposed to it, but Cookie was one of the ones who advocated for the annexation. And one of the reasons that he advocated for it that they're not telling you is because the city leaders and the people he would talk to, he was very involved in the community, but they were promising him contracts for the annexation and the building of a new development that was, coming to Kirkwood, and Meacham Park would be a part of that development because that would also be a part of Kirkwood. And so Cookie or Charles began to advocate for that, believing that the city and the people he had talked to and the city leaders were going to give his construction company some of those contracts for the upcoming project. And so the annexation happened and Cookie didn't get the contracts that he thought he was supposed to get. So, of course, he began to complain. He began to show up at city council meetings and things like that. And so that put him on the radar. Like they said, he used to disrupt the city council meetings. He used to go in there with signs and picket. And, you know, this is one such of the pictures right here where he's out, you know, talking about the Kirkwood, Missouri slave tax. So that little town that was used to doing things like, you know, normal, they were having to start paying taxes to the city. And, you know, a lot of the things that they used to could do without anybody bothering them, they couldn't do any longer. And how this affected Cookie was, he was once again a small business, a construction. He had some trucks and paving companies and things like that. So he was used to parking his trucks on the streets in front of his house and in, you know, vacant lots and abandoned lots around the town. You know, everybody in the small town know, okay, that's Cookie truck. So the city of Kirkwood, because they had annexed Meacham Park, they started giving him tickets. They started giving him tickets and fining him and, you know, finding all sorts of zoning and, you know, telling him his business had to have special permits, all of those things that he was not used to doing. To compound that, he didn't get any contracts to give him the capital to do all those things that they were wanting him to do. Like they said, he would pave neighbors' yard for free. You know, he was that kind of guy. And so that started him on a long legal battle with the city. As the article said, he had over 150 charges against him for, you know, minor things. And they said only 12 of them were dropped. And then he started to file lawsuits against the city, which were dismissed. And they said, you know, he had no claims and all of those things. So that was the leading up to this. And the last thing, he filed a federal lawsuit in which he did it himself. And they had recently dismissed it 10 days earlier. And so that is what, you know, sent Mr. Cookie over the edge. But, you know, listen to this story, you know, as his brother gives a different narrative of the situation.
Good evening. 6 people are dead following a massacre at a city hall in suburban St. Louis.
The mayor remains in critical condition at this hour. KMBC 9's Chris Nagus is joining us live right now from Kirkwood with new developments. Chris?
Well, Kelly, the memorials are piling up in front of the Kirkwood City Hall. You can see behind me the flowers and the balloons that are being left behind as people stop to drop those off. Witnesses say a man who goes by the nickname Cookie walked in minutes after the Pledge of Allegiance at last night's city council meeting and shouted, "Shoot the mayor." On the footsteps to City Hall, grief is on display. Flags fly at half-staff. A city is in mourning.
It's just a shame to lose someone who's so caring about the community and people she hardly knew.
Mary Clifford and her mother Sue knew one of the victims, a Kirkwood city councilwoman.
The fact that it's so tragic that he snapped and did such a terrible thing is just, you just can't believe it.
Witnesses say Charles Thornton, known as Cookie, opened fire on everyone in his way. Police officers Tom Ballman and William Biggs were the first to die. The shooter left a side note on his bed.
Just simply read, the truth will win in the end.
Gerald Thornton says his brother felt picked on by the city council, that he was upset over parking tickets related to his business. Thornton tries to rationalize the situation.
I hope that everyone understands that we all have lost.
He doesn't condone his brother's actions, but he doesn't condemn them either.
Do you feel like what he did was wrong?
I can't judge that.
Still, he hopes it never happens again.
This type of action will at least be uncommon. We will have advanced as humans, and I hope that today it starts.
Among the dead, 2 police officers, 2 city council members here in Kirkwood, and the director of public works. The mayor of Kirkwood remains in critical condition at a St. Louis area hospital. Tonight at 6 o'clock, we're going to hear from a man who attended last night's city council meeting. He was there when Cookie walked in and opened fire. That is coming up tonight at 6. We are live in suburban St. Louis. Chris Negus, KMBC 9 News.
All right, and so there you see once again the brother saying that he felt picked on, and this is an example of what I mean. He received several tickets and code violations for operating an unlicensed business from his home in a residentially zoned incorporated area, illegal dumping, destruction of property, parking his construction company near his home, and for numerous other municipal code violations. Now, once again, he was used to doing that before the city incorporated him. And so being that he vouched for that and he didn't get any benefits of that, made him, I guess, adverse to paying those tickets. They said he received over 150 tickets and ordered to pay $20,000 in fines and court costs. And once again, this is for a small businessman who was very avid in the community and who advocated for them becoming a part of Kirkwood. And there was several other incidents that he dealt with as far as trying to get the city council to pretty much leave him alone. They said he got in a fight with the public works director, which he eventually shot. He was picking it outside of one restaurant. And then, he got into it with that guy. So Cookie was basically being a disturbance to them. But this is how they responded, by continuously to hurt him financially. And he eventually got fed up and he went to the courthouse or the city hall when they were having their meeting. But before he got there, he spotted a police officer walking across the street, pulled out his gun, a Smith & Wesson, and blammed him point blank range, took his gun, went into the city hall meeting. I guess he said, okay, well, I better take the police officer out first, which he did. I think he hit him in the head. And then he started blaming on the city council members. He hit two of them. Of course, he hit the public works director because the public works director was the one who was issuing all those fines and being in contention with him. And he felt he was responsible for not allowing him to get the contracts. Lastly, he shot the mayor. Now, the mayor didn't initially die. He died about 7 months later. And so in all, Brother Cookie killed about 5 people and wounded one, or killed 6 people or wounded 1. But this is an example because I go to city hall council meetings so much, and I know gripes that people have with city council and these people who are able to manipulate things and grant contracts and grant permits to whomsoever they will. And, this incorporation thing that they're doing in a lot of these cities will put, people who are used to not having as many taxes, not having as many adhere to a lot of red tape, they'll put them at a disadvantage. And so, I've been to several city council members and watched residents, speak against certain things, and the city council members just look the other way. All right, thank you for speaking. And they do what they want to do. And a lot of times it is in the best interest of those with the money. Just like the mayor at that time, or the mayor or somebody on the council said, well, we never promised him nothing. It was up to the developers. It was up to the developers who got the contracts. And he did get contracts, but they wasn't just what he wanted. They were, but the developers and the city council work hand in hand. So they do have a hand on who gets the contracts or who does not get the contracts. So they do have some influence. And anybody who in the city council can sit here and tell me that I'm lying, but I know I'm not lying because I've seen it and heard about it with my own 2 eyes. So this is a situation, once again, where oppression made the wise man mad. You hear the brother, talking about it. Look, I can't judge that, man. I can't judge that because he knew what his brother went through. You see him didn't condemn him. And the first brother, he was kind of apologetic. But that may just be his nature. But lastly, I'm going to play you a video of somebody remembering this event. Just check this out.
Tomorrow marks 10 years since the Kirkwood City Hall shooting. 7 people, including the gunman, Charles Cookie Thornton, died in that horrific attack.
5 on your sides. Daniel Wynn was in Kirkwood today as the city prepares to remember those lost. And Daniels, you spoke with a council member who went to high school with Thornton, right?
Yeah, that's right. Paul Ward has been a council member for several years. He is now the deputy mayor. He wasn't in the council chambers the night of the shooting, but knew pretty much everyone in the room, including the gunman.
My son called me. He was driving by City Hall and he says, "Dad, there's police cars from all over at City Hall and something's going on."
And that is how Deputy Mayor Paul Ward first heard the news there had been a shooting at City Hall. His first instinct was to call his friend to see if he was okay.
So I tried to call Mike Lynch, who was a good friend of mine, and we had gone on council together. And of course, he was dead.
Little did he know several others were dead too. Charles Cookie Thornton had gone to the meeting upset. He was upset over fines he'd gotten for parking construction equipment on the street.
It was gut-wrenching to think that this could happen. So, you know, I just wanted to get to whoever was a survivor.
But City Hall was closed off. Word tells me he went to the hospital that night to comfort family members who had lost loved ones.
You can't explain exactly how you feel. You feel sorrow, you feel some anger, you know that idea of why did this happen creeps in there.
In all, Thornton shot and killed 5 city officials and wounded the mayor, who later died. Word tells me he knew Thornton and even went to high school with him.
Good people. I mean, he came from a good family. Everyone loved him. Most of the council considered Cookie a friend.
Word tells me Kirkwood has recovered over the years, the past 10 years. He says it's still the tight-knit community it always was.
All right, and so there, was a childhood friend saying, that Thornton came from a good home. But once again, this was the culmination of a lifetime of, about 20 years of oppression, suppression, regression, all of those things that caused our brother Cookie to do those things. So this happens more than you know. Once again, in all, he killed 6 people, 2 police officers, 2 city council members, the mayor, and the public works director as well. So, somebody sent this to me because, this was a little known story, but, people will see this and just say, okay, this black man just went on a shooting spree. No, this was a culmination of a lot of things. And, his family, once again, they stood behind him. They're memorializing him just as, the families of those people whom he killed are memorializing them. So y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. Y'all see the number 919-587-7782. Thank y'all for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And as always, peace and blessings. It says all things that are hidden shall be revealed, and those things done in secret shall be exposed on the mountaintop.
Let's go, Rich. Let's go. You watching Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. The propaganda grammar, don't believe none of it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing.
Negroes have listened to the trickery and the lies and the false promises of the white man now for too long.